Divorce TV with Wally Marcus. Our topic today, Divorce Grandmasters with attorney Rita Pollak. Support for Divorce TV provided in part by the Center for Divorce Mediation, 520-577-1202. Welcome to Divorce TV. I'm your host, Wally Marcus. I've been a divorce mediator for over 25 years, and today's topic is Divorce Grandmasters with my good friend, attorney Rita Pollak. You can get more information about our program and our guests or contact us with questions at the website at the bottom of your screen. You can also see our show now on YouTube at youtube.com/divorcetv. Rita, welcome. This is a real pleasure having you. We've known each other for a long time. I always enjoy interviewing people who I also know as good friends and who are real pros in divorce, and you certainly have an international reputation in your field. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yes, thank you so much for having me on. It is good to work with a friend. We don't get to do that often enough, and I appreciate this opportunity. I'm a divorce attorney in a suburb of Boston, Massachusetts. Although I have a second home here, I'm happy to say that I feel like a Tucsonian in part. And I've had a divorce practice since 1983, and a collaborative divorce practice, which is a very particular kind of practice.
We're going to talk a little bit about that later on.
And I've been doing mediation for about 20 years and collaborative divorce for about 8 years.
Actually, we can't not talk to you without talking about collaborative divorce, but I also want to talk a little bit about the current state of divorce, or what I've sort of been rephrasing as the state of disunion, to paraphrase the political. And so let's talk a little bit about collaborative first, because I think, once again, you have a sort of a unique perspective on that. And then let's make sure we leave enough time. We've got to watch the clock and enough time to talk so we can get your views on divorce in general. Tell us a little bit about what collaborative practice is.
Well, collaborative practice is an opportunity for both parties to the divorce to be represented by counsel and for them to resolve their dispute outside of court. So the meetings are four-way meetings with both attorneys present and with both the parties present in what we hope is a comfortable setting, a setting which is designed to try to reduce the anxiety for the parties. And the negotiations are open and above board. They're transparent and honest. We ask the parties to sign an agreement to that effect, and the attorneys sign the agreement as well. So we're really all committing to act with tremendous integrity and honesty.
Well, sometimes I hear collaborative practice, I hear collaborative divorce, I hear collaborative
collaborative law.
Collaborative law.
Right.
What's the difference between all those collaboratives?
There really isn't any difference. Collaborative divorce started as a particular model in California, and they were gracious enough to allow everyone else to use that model. And the collaborative divorce model in California includes professionals in addition to attorneys, such as mental health professionals who might act as coaches or child specialists to help the couple deal with child-related issues, and financial planners and financial specialists. So they've designed a whole team approach, which they called collaborative divorce. But as I said, they've allowed every one of us to use that title. So going across the country, you might find a team that just has attorneys, and you might find a team that has those other professionals.
What's the training for a collaborative practitioner?
The training for a collaborative practitioner is pretty intense in the beginning. There's certainly a minimum of a 2 full-day training. Sometimes there's a 3-day training. Some parts of the country require people to have that 40-hour mediation training first as the base before they can even take the collaborative law training. And then layered onto that initial training are all kinds of advanced trainings, because we really have particular skills that we bring to the process. So just one training doesn't do it.
We talked earlier before the show, as we often do, about one of our sort of standard issues on this one, and I'm not sure where to fit this in the interview, so I'm going to plug it in right now before I forget again, about divorce food.
Yes.
Do you have any thoughts on divorce food, or how food plays into divorce?
I do.
Totally unrelated, but...
Well, not so unrelated. It's really part of the collaborative training, and it is something you wouldn't have thought about unless you took a collaborative training. In addition to the food, it's really the entire environment. We know that when people are getting divorced, they're terribly anxious and fearful. They're frightened of what they don't know, and they're frightened of what they might lose. They're frightened they might not get enough. So we try to create an entire environment which will make people comfortable. So for example...
You get a massage beforehand or not?
No, I get the massage beforehand. But when the clients come to my office, we try to make them feel welcome. We try to have a soothing and calming place. We have food in the morning if the meetings are early, you know, the 8:30, 9
You
o'clock
started telling me
meeting.
about the food, Rita, beforehand, and I was getting hungry listening to you.
Well,
If I ever go that route, I know where to get the best divorce food.
yes, sometimes we have it catered, but often the attorney who's hosting the meeting provides the food. So if I'm doing an early morning meeting, I always have fruit and some protein and some nuts, and of course coffee and tea, whatever they want to drink. One of the important things to think about is to ask people what they're allergic to and what they can't eat and what they prefer. I mean, one of the goals is to make people feel welcome and to feel comfortable. And of course, late in the afternoon, we have dark chocolate. Doesn't matter
Sounds good
what
to
the
me.
topic is, what there has to
Do
be.
you find it all with the food
Chocolate.
I mean, I found that when my mediation practice, that sometimes the food is somewhat, I have a candy dish on the table. I don't go as full out as you do, but the people will start gobbling up the food. Do you find that the food is somewhat diagnostic also?
I think the people who gobble up the food first are the attorneys because we're less anxious. So I know that I've gained probably 5 pounds in the last year or so
You don't look
gobbling
it
up the
Rita, at all.
food.
You look fine.
Thank you. What I see is that the clients initially are almost not afraid of the food, but they're so anxious that they don't even know the food is there. And these meetings are 2 hours long. So I can tell you certainly as we close the first hour, then people are starting to feel more comfortable and they start to reach for the food. And it's very nice. It's a social thing to do. Someone will pass to someone else. Someone will ask if you'd like something. It's sometimes it's an entree. I'll tell you a funny story if
Go
we have
ahead.
a minute.
I really prefer, actually,
Okay.
you know, I love anecdotes and
Okay.
examples. People find that much interesting.
Okay, this is the funny story. I was representing a man who was living and working in France, although he was getting his divorce in Massachusetts. And he was doing that because his wife and family were moving back to Massachusetts and he was going to continue to live and work in France. And so when he was coming to the office for the meeting, I said to him, well, should we get you some croissant to make you feel at home? He said, I am so tired of croissant. I want some white Wonder Bread. So I went to the store and I bought a loaf of white Wonder Bread. I had it waiting on the table for him. And at a couple of points during the meeting, do you remember making little bread balls when you were a kid? You take the center of the bread and throw it,
Yes,
make it little
I think
balls and
throwing at
toss
young
it at
girls,
people.
I think.
Yeah, well, we did that just to, you know, to get a little levity, and he thought that was great.
But that helps. I mean, the humor does that at all. But
Humor helps.
it helps a lot. And before I forget, let me turn our tiles off at the bottom and show you where you can reach Attorney Pollak. That's her phone number and her website, which I think isn't directly linked to your website, but you can find her on that one. So if you want more information or reach her, you can always check on our website as well. Let's get back to the collaborative practice and a little bit more on that. And how much does it cost, and how does that compare to mediation, and how does that compare to an adversary divorce?
Well, those are wonderful questions. The adversarial divorce, what we call litigation, is by far the most expensive. And I don't think there's any disagreement about that. That can really cost hundreds of thousands of dollars because it's so out of control. And it's out of control of the client's hands. Once the professionals get started, there's no way for the clients to really slow it down. Mediation, which is a wonderful out-of-court settlement opportunity, is much less expensive. And collaborative divorce, I think, compares with that. The cost for the collaborative divorce is really the hourly rate of the collaborative professionals. So if it's just two attorneys, each client pays their own attorney their hourly rate. If we add other professionals, such as a coach or a child specialist or a financial specialist, then the clients share that cost. So I think it can be pretty efficient and economical.
And one of the things I read on that is, when I hear people talking about collaborative, they start hearing all the other professionals coming in. They start counting the numbers,
Right.
and then they start saying, it's costing me more. How do you respond to that?
Well, I think what we tell clients is that they're paying for value. So for example, and this may be shocking to the Tucson audience, I don't know, but in Boston, my hourly rate is $400. And I'm not a financial specialist, and I don't give tax advice. I feel more comfortable bringing the financial professional in to give tax advice. His rate is $175. And so if the parties spend time with him or her talking about their finances, it's really money saved for them. Same thing is true for the child-related issues. Although I can help them with it, I'm not sure they should talk to me at $400 an hour about what time they should return their child or pick up their child or what they should do for the holidays. So we have a mental health professional, a developmental psychologist, who also charges less than I do and is an expert in the field. So they're paying for expertise, and I think they're getting expertise and good value.
So it's an efficiency model.
It's an efficiency model.
That's good. how does somebody, if somebody wants to do collaborative, how do they? You're right. Your rates are a little bit